Let me ask you this. You're a big reader. When I went in your office the last time, you had library carts with books. I don't know how you read all these things, but I remember. Yet you show me one, the one about latrines, remember, where you filled the whole inside and outside sleeve with notes and everything. You read a lot. What have you been reading lately? What would you recommend to these people if you like 4 or 5 books? I don't care what the topic, whether it's
latrines
energy.
are fascinating. Actually, because nobody wants to read about it. It's one of the greatest underinvestments in all of development in terms of getting engineers to work on it. And we're going to have breakthroughs in latrines. It's going to be great. The flush toilet, which is sort of the gold standard, is a unachievable approach, very inefficient approach. But creating something that's cheaper and as good and doesn't require water is actually very hard, but should be doable. And driving people into that's interesting. Anyway, in terms of reading.
What was the name of the book?
It's called Water and Sanitation.
Okay.
And it's quite lurid. There's a lot of books I read I don't recommend other people. I'd say that's one of them. Unless you, but it's a super important topic. And then you can visit Poor World latrines and learn from that as well. Anyway, there's a lot of great authors who write about science. And once you find one, Václav Smil has written a ton of books. I love all his stuff. His latest one, Energy Transition, is great. His energy book, Enriching the Earth, is great. They're all phenomenal. Actually, Amazon doesn't do a good job of listing them, but because he has a lot of different versions and things. So his best book is number 45 in the listing. There's this David Mackay book called Sustainable Energy Without the Hot Air that really, it doesn't explain climate change, but explains energy demand and supply in a very neutral, readable, brilliant way. There's a Richter book out just a few months ago on the overall climate thing that does a reasonable job. It's hard to do in a short format, but he does quite a good job on that. There's all this online stuff. I have an appetite, in a day, maybe I read 2 or 3 hours, but I'm also willing to watch maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours of videos. And so teach 12 lectures, like Big History, which is David Christian's thing there. But there are dozens and dozens of mind-blowing courses that you can buy from Teach 12. Then academicearth.org is the free ones. Now, actually knowing which of those courses you have the right background for and which things will teach you, it's good to have a friend that you can email to who's kind of watched them and can...
Are you volunteering?
There's many, yeah, okay. There's a lot of dead ends where a course might not give you what you want. Most people wouldn't know that this Donald Sadoway course, which is a MIT course, will teach you about materials and crystallography because the way it's titled and you might be... and it's just mind-blowingly good. History of science, I love. Things about new breakthroughs. Understanding that what life is like in the developing world. A lot of good books that kind of center you on.
Do you read biographies much anymore? Because you used to read a lot of those.
Well, there's some great stuff on this financial crisis. More Money Than God is good if you want to understand hedge funds and the guys who have sort of been behind that and get a more rational view of what they did. There's a Lewis book called Crisis that goes through the last 6 big financial crises and it's really good because it takes the articles before the crisis happened, the article during the crisis, and the articles after the crisis for 6 in a row. And you can see how kind of naive people are. Then they have an overkill solution that doesn't relate to what the next thing that comes along. Anyway, it's super well done. I have this thing called Gates Notes where I'm about 20 books behind now, but I write little book reports. Like there's one about the tension between genetically modified organisms and organic farming. Tomorrow's Tables, Raoul's here, and he and his wife Pamela wrote this incredible book. It's like 200 pages, not that long. If you skip the recipes, it's probably 190 pages long, which I have to admit I did. because I don't cook very much. Anyway, brilliant synthesis of why, in kind of an artificial way, the organic community and the GMO community aren't seen eye to eye, but truthfully, there's a lot of great thinking out of both of those that actually leads to what you should care about, which is preserving the environment and feeding people with decent diets. So it's great to see a brilliant book like that. There's a lot of partisan books on both sides of that debate. You know, like, well, the pollen book is pretty extreme. This one is good.
You know, I want to turn it over to the floor after just one more question. Education is really important to you, and I know for a fact that you're involved in trying to figure out new ways to use the web as a more effective educational medium. I'm just curious what your approach is to that, what you really hope to achieve, what you think can be done, and how much we could rely on distance learning to really educate people enough to actually be productive citizens.
Yeah, let me just first start and say how inefficient education is today. In the United States, math textbooks for every grade of high school are over 300 pages now. So you have your first, second, third, you know, and they're gigantic, intimidating books. I look at that and go, what the heck is in there? You know, all we're going to teach is plus, minus, you know, a few polynomials. My God. But the committee textbook thing where they keep changing them and adding to them has led to this. Our textbooks are systemically 3 times larger than their Asian equivalents, which is kind of a mind-blowing thing. And we reteach the same concepts again and again and again. The teacher has no sense of who in his class is getting it, not getting. Bill Drayton talked a little bit about this problem. And when you look at all the successful innovations, it's where you let the student assess their knowledge, give them a sense of where they are, and let them proceed at a pace where they're actually seeing that they know something before they move on. It sounds pretty basic, but if you look at a kid who graduates from high school and wants to go to college, takes an exam, there's 2 of them that you take on your math. If you get below a certain score, the most popular is called AccuPlace, you're put into remedial math. Now, all you get is that score. You're not told, hey, you've got fractions screwed up, but you're fine on polynomials. You get put into a course where they're going to teach the whole thing. And you have to go there, pay money, build up debt. So over 60% of kids who go into community college are put into the remedial course, math course. And over 80% of those kids build up debt and never get a degree. Because remedial math, first of all, you've been told you're a moron, and you haven't been told what your deficiencies are and given a clear path to focus on those. You've just been told, go sit through it again. And they'll give you, those textbooks are like 400 pages long. So you never know what you don't know. If you compare that to, now this is a grand oversimplification, but if you take this, say, khanacademy.org website, where one guy does little 12-minute things, there's about 40-some lectures that cover algebra. You have to do pre-algebra, arithmetic, then pre-algebra, then algebra. About 40 of these things. He teaches the concepts directly. We're going to couple to that a set of assessment tests that are fun to take, that give you a clear sense, no, you need to go back and do that one, or maybe one of these base modules, so you need to review negative numbers or fractions or simplifying fractions or scientific notation, something that you go back to. And you'll have a sense. You'll know individually, okay, I'm really good at this, I need to work on this a little bit, and you'll see how big it is. It's not a textbook like this. There aren't that many concepts in algebra. Yes, there's about a dozen, and some of them are very hard, those funny polynomials. Y, x squared plus 3x plus 2. Most adults don't remember these things. It's great. If you want to review these things, khanacademy.org, when you see like a variance on a medical study, you only have to listen to 2 of his lectures on statistics, and you'll know when it says p equals 0.10, p equals 0.03. What the heck is that thing? You sort of remember coin flips and variance and funny tales, but how does it relate to that funny p thing? Anyway, he straightens people out very directly. And so education, the hardest thing in education is motivation. If you're a self-motivated learner, it's clear that 5 years from now, on the web for free, if you're people like a lot of people here or I am, you will be able to find the greatest lectures in the world. The quality of those lectures will be better than are at any single university, because you will be selecting the best and getting feedback and improving them. And if the guy who's popular, give him a budget. When people get on the stage and sing, they don't all get like a $100 budget. Madonna gets like $1 million to do light effects, to rehearse it, to get it right. Why shouldn't the best physics course in the world have $1 million budget for neat experiments and doing it over and doing it right? Well, when something gets popular, the feedback loop works. Walter Lewin, if he wants to redo his things because his things are so good, those are the best physics course out there on academic earth. So the material will be incredible, and the assessment will be incredible. And so we'll start to separate out three things. The teaching material, which is scale economic and will be free, widely available. Some things you'll pay for, but a lot will be free. If you pay, it won't be much. Then there's creating the motivational environment that draws people in and gets them to do it because there's friends, because it's scheduled, whatever that is. That's huge. And then there's accreditation, saying, independent of how you came about your knowledge, do you have the knowledge that's the equivalent of an MIT engineering degree or a Harvard Business School degree? That has to be broken out so that you don't couple the innovation in how you get somebody to be smart with the, only if you took our courses do you get this nice accreditation that says that you are smart. And so as you do that, like the computer industry had kind of operating systems and chip and systems were all bundled together. The invention of the chip changed all that. Education is about to go through that kind of decoupling enabled by the internet. Anyway, so I'm super optimistic about it. The part about how you get the teachers' unions and the schools to do new things, there's some things that are hard there, but it's important.
Yeah. Let's start